Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tearing into an absolute workhorse of the electronics world, the BC337 transistor. If you've ever held a circuit board and wondered how a tiny, unassuming piece of silicon does so much heavy lifting, well, you're in the right place. We're going to figure out exactly why this specific component is the ultimate bridge between delicate digital logic and the messy, high-power physical world.
So, let's start with a classic engineering headache, right? How do you safely control heavy, power-hungry loads with a fragile little microchip? Think about it. How can a weak 5-volt microcontroller, something that can barely output a few milliamps, drive a massive DC motor, fire a heavy solenoid, or trigger a clunky mechanical relay without instantly going up in smoke? It is a fundamental challenge for any circuit design.
And the solution to that headache lies in one incredibly beautiful number, 800 milliamps. That is the maximum continuous collector current of our hero today, the BC337 NPN transistor. In the world of small-signal transistors, 800 milliamps is basically a superpower. It means this little guy can handle loads that would instantly vaporize lesser transistors. It takes the burden entirely off your delicate microcontroller and acts like a heavy-duty bouncer for your circuit. Here is our quick roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll officially meet the BC337. Then we'll peek under the hood to see how it works internally. Next up, switching and amplifying, followed by some real-world design math. And finally, we'll wrap up with equivalents and alternatives. Let's dive right in. Section 1. Let's meet the BC337, the high-power hero itself. So what is this thing really? The BC337 is an NPN bipolar junction transistor, or BJT. The core magic here is all about current control. Basically, a tiny, whisper-quiet base current is used to control a massive, roaring collector-to-emitter current. This unique trait is what lets it function as either a rock-solid electronic switch or a highly sensitive signal amplifier. Simply put, it's the muscle of your circuit. It takes that weak control signal from your microchip and flexes hard to dictate the flow of a much larger current to your load. Looking at the physical pinout for the incredibly common TO92 package, it follows a simple 1-2-3 order. Pin 1 is the collector, pin 2 is the base, and pin 3 is the emitter. But hey, quick reality check. Always verify with your specific manufacturer's datasheet. Guessing the pinout is a super fast track to backwards wiring and a fried circuit. We've all been there, so let's avoid it today. Moving right along to Section 2, how it actually works on the inside. I like to think of the transistor's 3 operating regions like a water valve. First, you have cutoff. Here, the base current is essentially 0, so the transistor is fully off. The valve is cranked shut tightly. Second, we hit the active region. This is where you're partially opening that valve, and the base current controls the collector current proportionally. It's perfect for analog amplification. Finally, you have saturation. The transistor is strongly turned on, the voltage drop is tiny, and the valve is thrown completely wide open to let maximum current flow. Okay, Section 3, switching and amplifying, how we actually use this in practical applications. When you push this transistor hard into that saturation state, it transforms into an incredibly robust electronic switch. Because it can handle that impressive 800 milliamps, it is totally in its element, driving relay coils, blinding LED arrays, loud buzzers, and small DC motors. When your microcontroller needs to wake up a demanding component, you just feed it enough base current to shove it into saturation, and it handles the heavy lifting without breaking a sweat. But hey, what if you don't want just a binary on or off? Well, if you carefully bias the transistor to keep it floating right there in the active region, it becomes a fantastic analog amplifier. A tiny, fluctuating signal applied to the base gets scaled up into a proportionately massive variation in the collector current. That makes it an absolute go-to for audio preamplifiers, microphone circuits, sensor interfaces, and oscillators. It essentially takes a weak input and gives it some serious teeth. Which brings us to Section 4, designing with the BC337 and looking at the practical math. Let's run some actual numbers to see how you design a real circuit. Say you want to switch a 100 milliamp load using a standard 5-volt microcontroller. You absolutely need a base resistor to limit the current. If we use a nice conservative 10 milliamp base drive, the formula is super straightforward. 5 volts minus a typical 0.7 volt silicon drop divided by 0.01 amps. And boom! That gives us exactly 430 ohms. It's the perfect starting point for this setup. Now, while you're mocking up these circuits, it is absolutely crucial to respect the absolute maximum voltage ratings. We've got 45 volts for the collector emitter, 50 volts for the collector base, and, pay attention to this one, just 5 volts for the emitter base. You must never treat absolute maximums as everyday continuous targets. That emitter base junction is wildly sensitive to reverse voltage. Exceed that tiny 5-volt limit, and your transistor is toast, taking your circuit down with it. All right, last but not least, Section 5. Equivalents and alternatives for when you need a replacement. First up, let's contrast our hero directly with another insanely common part, the BC547. It is so tempting to just swap them since they're both NPN TO92 transistors, right? Don't do it. While the BC337 handles up to 800 milliamps, making it phenomenal for heavy loads, the BC547 maxes out at a measly 100 milliamps. It is strictly for small signal stuff. If you try using a BC547 to drive an 800 milliamp motor, you're going to have a literal meltdown on your breadboard. Instead, keep these smart alternatives in your back pocket. The 2N2222A is widely considered the ultimate drop-in replacement, with fantastic switching capabilities. The 2N4401 is also top tier for switching. If you find you need a little more breathing room than our 45-volt limit, the BC639 handles up to 80 volts, which is awesome. And if you really just need low current signal amplification, well, that is exactly where the BC547 and BC548 shine. Always pick the right tool for the job. Now, before you start wiring things up, a quick reality check. That 800 milliamps is an absolute maximum rating, not a guaranteed everyday operating target. Heat is your ultimate enemy here. The package power dissipation, like the 625 milliwatt maximum for the TO92 package, is almost always going to be your real bottleneck long before you hit 800 milliamps. If the voltage drop across the transistor, multiplied by the current, creeps past 625 milliwatts, it's going to overheat. And of course, safety always comes first. You have to protect those fragile microcontrollers by calculating a proper base resistor, just like we did with that 430 ohm example earlier. And listen, absolutely never forget your flyback diode when you're driving inductive loads like solenoids or motors. When those turn off, they aggressively dump a massive reverse voltage spike back into the circuit. Without a flyback diode to route that spike away safely, your BC337 will be destroyed in a heartbeat. We've covered the key specs, the underlying math, the operating principles, and the golden safety rules of the BC337. This tiny piece of silicon truly is a high-power hero, acting as that vital bridge between your digital logic and the heavy-duty physical world. So, armed with all this knowledge, what heavy load are you going to confidently control next with the tiny but mighty BC337?